We're going to be talking about this, what happens after Jesus comes back. Part C, we talked about that 5C. He comes back, touches down on the Mount of Olives. It splits in half, moves north and south, opens up a valley. That's what it said. We read that all last night. And it's probably going to open up the fountain. I just suspect the Garden of Eden fountain was right where Jerusalem is. God seems to have a special place in his heart for that spot, and so does the devil. But two things are going to be happening. At the end, there's a battle of Armageddon. We talked about that. Satan is cast into the pit, the bottomless pit. Interesting. How can you have a bottomless pit? So after the battle of Armageddon, Megiddo is this valley up here. We talked about that. This huge, huge valley, 35 miles across. Napoleon said all the armies of the world could fight in here, and they will. There's going to be an incredible battle in this Jezreel Valley, or the Valley of Megiddo, because there's the city of Megiddo right there. Battle of Armageddon. Now Jesus was raised in Nazareth, wasn't he? As a boy. Every day he got to look out over that. Of course, knowing everything, he would know this is where it's going to be. Father, you're in charge. I know. Someplace around here, I forget, I should have looked that up. He went home to, I think it was Nazareth, where they got angry at him and they drove him out to the edge of a hill and were going to throw him off, and he just walked right through the crowd. I just wonder if it was right there looking over the, I don't know. That would preach really good. A lot of stuff preaches good that may or may not be true. So in Revelation 20, I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit. How can you have a bottomless pit? Well, it's really not complicated at all. I'll show you. And a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now here we learn several things out of this verse. The devil and the serpent and Satan is all the same person. Oftentimes you go through the Bible and it mentions things like Paul and Saul, same guy, different name. Peter and Cephas in the Bible, same guy. Abram and Abraham, same guy. Well, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, you can put two and two together and realize this is all talking about the same guy. Lucifer, Satan, the dragon, the devil, okay? But we also learn he's going to be bound and put in a bottomless pit. Now, what is that? Well, the earth is round, and as much as it frustrates me, I do talk to the flat earthers once in a while. I had one today. I think they really sincerely love the Lord, and they're trying to defend the Bible. There's no question, and I really appreciate that. But it's not true, okay? And it doesn't match the scriptures. We've been through that before. Anyway, the earth is a giant mass, 6 sextillion tons is the estimate. So just two weights have attraction toward each other. Gravitational attraction is based upon the mass of the object. And there's a law called the inverse square law. If you weighed 200 pounds on the surface of the earth, which is about 4,000 miles from the middle, if you went up 4,000 miles, it would fall off to only 1/4 of that, 50 pounds. That'd be a great weight loss program, wouldn't it? Go up to, yeah. Anyway, expensive to get there though. So what if you went down inside the earth? What if you could drill a hole in all the way through the earth? Well, as you go down into the earth, now part of the earth is attracting you back up because it's the attraction of masses, and some of the earth is above you. Yeah. If you got in the center, technically you would weigh 0 because you'd be attracted by gravity in all directions. The flat earthers say, well, you know, how does the water stay on the earth if it's round? It's not a problem at all. It's attracted toward the middle. The water in the South Pole is attracted this way. The water at the North Pole is attracted this way. It's like the mass of the earth is the attraction, like a magnet. Is it possible to have a magnet and have something attracted up to it? Well, yeah. Magnetic fields go all directions. So do gravitational fields. It's not a problem for a round ball to have gravitational pull in all directions. And so people at South Pole would be standing with their head down, looking at it from space, but they wouldn't feel like they're upside down because they're attracted that way. We're here at this latitude, what are we, about 31 degrees? Yep. Theoretically, if you could drill a shaft through the earth and drop something in, it would be attracted down, it would fall, and then slow down, and then fall back, and then turn around. It would keep falling forever, back and forth in that shaft. It would go down, the other side, it keep going like a yo-yo, forever. That's one way a bottomless pit could be accomplished. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen in Revelation, but I'm just saying it is a possibility. That's one simple answer. You could have a bottomless pit. They've done experiments where they put like a spider or some kind of insect in a strong magnetic field, and it floats. It's attracted all directions, and it can't get its bearings. Like, where am I? Which way's up? They can't tell. So that type of science experiments, high school level physics. Okay, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. Remember, Satan started his career in the Garden of Eden, deceiving Eve. In 1 John, it tells us, Adam was not deceived. Eve was deceived. If you read the creation story, what's the last thing God made? Eve. He made Adam, and then he made the Garden of Eden, and then he put Adam in the garden, and then he made a bunch more animals. The rest of the world's already full of animals, but he made some more just for Adam to name them and to realize none of these are going to work for a wife. And then he made Eve. So Eve never saw God make anything. Adam saw it. The devil couldn't come to Adam and say, hey, Adam, look at all this world I made. He'd say, what? You're nuts. God did it. I saw him. But Eve would say, oh, really? You did this? So he tricked Eve. It says Eve was deceived. 1 Timothy 1 or 2. Eve was deceived. Adam was not deceived. So he had a choice to make when he saw Eve give him that, whatever it was, banana, pear, apple. Some people think it was an apple. I don't know why they say that. One, like who's a famous, J. Vernon McGee, he said the problem in the garden was not the apple on the tree, it was the pear on the ground. That's cute. Anyway, so she was deceived. Satan started off his career deceiving humanity. And he's going to work really hard to try to deceive you. He's got a whole host of fake people working for him. Their full-time job is to try to trick you and deceive you into believing dumb stuff like you came from a rock for no reason 4.6 billion years ago. Evolution has got to be the absolute stupidest theory in the world. But they really believe it, don't they? Some really otherwise intelligent people really honestly believe that stuff. Nobody's ever seen any animal produce a different kind of animal. But yet they'll tell them, look, we got a line on paper connecting the elephant and the banana. Don't you see the line? That proves they're related. How deceived can you get? Read Romans chapter 1, ties right in here. He deceiveth the whole world. So he's going to deceive the nations no more. The interesting thing, after this 1,000 years of the devil not even being around, he's let out of the pit. We'll see that next time. And he deceives the people again, which proves two things. He hasn't learned a thing, and neither have the people. They are still easily deceived. We have to be constantly on guard that we don't get deceived believing something that's just simply not true. Be careful. It's easy to trick people to believe crazy things. There are so many different religions in the world. When I was 16 and got saved, I started going to the little Baptist church. My parents got kind of worried. This is a little right-wing radical. So we went to all kinds of other churches for a while. There are some really strange beliefs out there. I had a guy come to the house. I don't know if you remember the guy in Pensacola. He came, he had a beard but no mustache. And he was almost crying. Remember that guy? He was so worried. Oh, Brother Hovind, is it okay to grow a mustache? My church says mustaches are bad, but beards are fine. I wanted to say, what is wrong with you? Who's going to care? Wow. People go nuts over that. Like, you got to be kidding. That's their doctrine. Or like the Mormons that they're holy underwear. They can't ever take all their underwear off at once. I mean, they take a shower, they'll leave it on one leg and go in and shower half their body, step out, put it on the other leg, shower. I'm serious. The holy underwear. I met him one time. There's come to my door all the time in California. I happened to be out knocking on doors one Saturday soul winning, and there's 5 or 6 of these guys shared a house, these Mormon missionaries that are going to try to save the world, you know. And I knocked on the door about 10 o'clock in the morning, and they came to the door with their holy underwear on. They got a Masonic Lodge symbol over each nipple and one on the thigh. I got to see it. I said, guys, would you like to get dressed so we can talk? Anyway, I mean, that protects them from the devil. Joseph Smith, their moron founder, made up that idea. The Lord told him, if you wear this holy underwear, you'll be protected from the devil. And now there's 18 million Mormons out there doing that. Talk about deceived. But we've got to be careful that we don't get deceived. The devil is a master at it. But even when he's gone for 1,000 years, you watch, when he's released, the people follow him again. They fall for it. He should deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. He is able, after that 1,000 years of being in the pit. Now, the beast and the false prophet, there's an unholy trinity. You got the Satan and the beast and the false prophet. Just like we have Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the Trinity. He's going to mimic God with an unholy trinity. The beast and the false prophet are cast into hell. He's cast into the pit. He's let out after the 1,000 years and deceives the people again. Leads another battle. But this time, God just wipes them out with the word of his mouth. Done. We'll see that next time. Okay, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Who gets to live during that 1,000 years? The martyrs. Certainly those who get beheaded, and they are beheading them by the hundreds every year, maybe even by the thousands. It's happening today. It's coming to America. Mark my words. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. You talk about a controversial subject. Not everybody gets to rule and reign with Christ that 1,000 years. The martyrs do, for sure. If you read Fox's Book of Martyrs, the people who were killing the Christians were stunned, like, these guys are excited about dying for the Lord. What is wrong with you? And they would say, you should read the Bible. We get the bonus prize. We get to rule and reign with Jesus. How would you like to be Jesus Christ vice president for 1,000 years? That's the prize if you're willing to give up your life. They love not their lives unto the death. Now, so in my book, I cover several different theories. What happens to those who aren't faithful? And on page 205, we cover a very controversial topic. I'll let you get the book and see for yourself about that one. This will make people mad when they realize, what? I don't know for sure, but what about those who don't get, what about the Christians who do take the mark? What if there is some? What if there are some? Are, am, is, was, are. What if they do? Okay. Anyway, this is the first resurrection. Several resurrections talked about in the Bible. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So the 1,000-year kingdom is the bonus prize that you get if you're martyred. A Christian has three things. They have their physical life, 70, 80, 90 years, whatever. My grandpa made it to 86. I'm going to beat that or die trying. Then there's the bonus prize of 1,000-year kingdom. Not everybody gets that. Then there's eternity in heaven. If you're saved, you cannot possibly lose that. Now, you could lose entrance into that kingdom. You could not be faithful and say, God says, well, I was going to let you be my vice president, but sorry, you're out. Like Trump would say, you're fired, okay? So they then, in Luke chapter 20, talks about this. Then came to him certain of the Sadducees, which deny there is any resurrection. They think you just live and die and that's it. That's why they're sad, you see. Never mind, okay. And they asked him, saying, Master, Moses wrote unto us, if any man's brother die having a wife, and he die without children, that his brother should take his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. There were therefore 7 brethren, and the first took a wife and died without children, and the second took her to wife, and he died childless, and the third took her in like manner the 7. And they left no children and died. Last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, which of course they don't believe in the resurrection, they're trying to trap him. In this, I can add their words, in this supposedly phony resurrection you believe in, whose wife of them is she? For 7 had her to wife. And Jesus answering said unto them, the children of this world marry and are given in marriage, but they which shall be accounted worthy to obtain that world You see that right there? Not everybody gets to go in that first resurrection. They neither marry nor are given in marriage, neither can they die anymore, for they are equal unto the angels. See, if you get killed for the Lord and you enter this 1,000-year kingdom as one of his vice presidents or something, whatever, governor of Alabama, whatever he wants you to be, mayor of Lenox, that's what I want to be. Maybe the dog catcher. They're equal unto the angels. That's an interesting thought. And you cannot die. So during that 1,000-year period, there's actually two types of people on the planet. There's the immortals and the mortals who've lived through that tribulation, through that time of wrath. Let's say the world has 7.5 billion people today. By the end of all that's coming, we have 500 million left. Okay, after all the plagues and everything happens. Well, those 500 million are normal humans, and they're going to have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So there's actually two types of people on the earth during this 1,000 years, the mortals and the immortals. How many movies have been made along that theme, you think? Many. Stop and think about what Hollywood's doing. They know. There is an immortal class coming up. Yeah. They are children of God, being children of the resurrection. Now that the dead are raised, even Moses showed at the bush. Now Jesus talking to these Sadducees, when he called the Lord the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. Of course, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob is father, son, grandson. So Abraham is dead when Jacob is getting married. So why would he call him the God of all three? Jesus said, he is not God of the dead, but of the living, for all live unto him. In God's eyes, he sees everybody that's ever lived at the same time. That thought boggles my mind. From Isaiah chapter 2, verse 12, all the way through chapter 4, Isaiah describes this day of the Lord, this 1,000-year period. He starts off describing it as wrath and judgment. Then in chapter 4, verse 2, it just switches over and describes a time of great blessing. I'll show you. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon the hills that are lifted up, upon every high tower, upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant places, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down. The proud folks are going to get humbled during this first part of the day of the Lord. And the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. This is going to be the time of God's wrath during the day of the Lord. The first part of this 1,000-year kingdom is a time of almost 3 years of wrath. That's what he's talking about, and there's hundreds of verses about that, including what we're reading. The last part is a time of blessing. He's going to shake terribly the earth. There's an earthquake where 7,000 people are killed just in one city. You read about it. Okay. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship. Can you imagine making your own God to worship? Talk about deceived. They will sit and carve a statue, spend weeks and weeks carving the statue, gold plate it, set it up on a shelf, and then bow down and worship it. You idiot, you just made it out of a tree. You got to have help to be that stupid. To the moles, they're going to cast their idols to the moles and to the bats, and go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Then in chapter 4, it switches over. You can read all of chapter 2 and 3. You'll see this day of the Lord is talked about hundreds of times in the Bible. This is a long passage about it. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. After this battle of Armageddon, when Israel almost gets conquered, many of them do get captured and taken off to slavery. Then the Lord comes back in the middle of that, and it's the battle of Armageddon, and he wins. Okay. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, and he that remaineth in Jerusalem, shall be called holy. The survivors are going to look on him whom they pierced and get converted. And he's going to rescue them. Everyone, even everyone that is written among the living in Jerusalem, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. God's going to let their neighbors nearly clobber them, because Most of the Jews to this day are extremely secular. They are not a godly people at all. They need the Lord. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud of smoke by day and a shining of flaming fire by night. When did he do that before? In the Exodus with Moses. For upon all their glory shall be a defense, and there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain. There's just a few of the scores of verses that deal with the blessed time of the day of the Lord. Remember, this last part of this 1,000-year kingdom is a wonderful blessed time. Part 5D in my book. Satan's in the pit. He's out of the picture. And Jesus is ruling the world from Jerusalem. And he's going to have his people who've been martyred, who've died for him over the centuries. He's going to divide the world up and say, okay, Cliff, I want you to take care of Georgia. I want you to take care of Alabama. I want you to run California. I want you to, you're the governor. You're appointed. And they're going to probably meet several times a year in Jerusalem. Everybody fly over there and have a picnic or party or something. I don't know. Have a governor's meeting. And Jesus is going to say, this is how I want it done. Okay, Lady Di, I want you to do this in your country that you're running, or your city, or whatever. He's going to rule with a rod of iron from Jerusalem. Here's a few of the verses, and we'll take them real quick. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, and the Holy One of Israel in truth. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty God. Those that are left turn to the Lord. Isaiah 26. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. Salvation will God appoint for walls and bulwarks. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation, which keepeth the truth, may enter in. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. By the way, if you would like to have perfect peace in your life, some people really struggle with anxiety. You get your mind stayed on him. The more you think about the Lord and think about his word, the more it'll just calm you down. If you have trouble with anxiety or nervousness, read your Bible more. Memorize passages. It's magic. It works. Isaiah 27. It shall come to pass in that day, which is the day of the Lord, that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts of the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem. All through the Bible, when God's people were wicked, he allowed them to be taken off into captivity. They went to Babylon, they went to Assyria, they went to Egypt. They were always taken, and they would finally humble themselves and learn, and God would bring them back. That's going to happen to them again. Just before the Battle of Armageddon, they're going to be losing the war because all their neighbors are going to attack them. They're outnumbered at least 10-1 by the Muslim neighbors around them. And they're going to lose and be taken captive, many of them. And they're finally going to be brought back. They're going to have learned their lesson. In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory and a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, those that are left behind. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah chapter 30. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, that thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth. And it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. Ezekiel 39. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. God's not going to let them go into captivity. He's going to make it clear that it's because of their iniquity. They're his people, but he will spank his people with this rod of the neighbors. Because they trespass against me, therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies, so fell they all by the sword. Ezekiel 48. It was round about 18,000 measures, and the name of the city from that day shall be, the Lord is there. It's going to be great. Therefore, Hosea chapter 2. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her unto the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt no more call me Bali. For I will take away the names of Balaam out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the earth, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. God's going to make a deal between the Jews and the animals. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth. No more fighting. Can you imagine 1,000 years of no fighting on earth? How many wars have we had in the last 100 years? And we'll make them to lie down safely. Everybody can just lay down in peace. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith the Lord, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn and the wine and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that have not obtained mercy, and I will say unto them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. Now, you atheists and folks who believe in evolution have an option. You can choose to humble yourself now before God. There is coming a time when every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father, coming soon to a city near you. I chose to do that now. And because of that, He made me His child. He forgave all my sins. He promised me a home in heaven. And I want to press toward the mark. I get the bonus prize, if I'm faithful unto death for the Lord, of that extra 1,000 years. Do the rest of them just live in the spirit world? What happens to them? The ones that aren't faithful? Very controversial subject. To get my book for that. Call 855-BIG-DINO. If you want to know more about that, get the book, What on Earth is About to Happen, for heaven's sake.